Some of the most financially insecure people I know are doctors who look incredibly rich. You see, there's a difference between looking rich, acting rich, and being rich. Take John, a retired cardiothoracic surgeon. From the outside, he looked like the very picture of success. He lived in an exquisitely appointed mansion and owned a vacation home. He drove luxury cars, belonged to exclusive clubs, wore designer clothing, took exotic vacations. If you saw him at a conference or a charity event, you would have thought, that man has made it. But when John died, his family discovered his shameful truth. He left his wife and his children nothing but debt. As they say in Texas, John was all hat and no cattle. He was living a financial lie. John's story is one that demonstrates some of the costly consequences of falling into the vortex of looking rich. Today we'll explore the many forces that draw physicians into this vortex. We'll explore the differences between looking rich and being rich. Why is this so important? Being rich, living your financial truth, supports a life of true wealth. And falling into the vortex of looking rich represents one of the biggest threats to living a life of true wealth. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner. I'm a retired surgeon who helps doctors transform their relationship with money so that they can get more of what they want and less of what they don't want. Before we go further, I want to say this. Today is meant to be an overview to an element of the true wealth way. True wealth lives at the intersection of a satisfied life, a rich life, and a wealthy life. Today we'll explore a rich life in very broad strokes. Not so you master all of the ideas at once, but so you start to see how the pieces fit together. This episode is not a prescription, it's an orientation. How do you create a rich life now and still stay on track to build a wealthy life? And specifically, how can you avoid the looking rich vortex so that you can create a lifetime of rich months? Part of the challenge of having conversations about financial health is this. Words like rich and poor and wealthy mean different things to different people. For purposes of our conversation, please consider this working definition of rich. You are rich if you can comfortably and reliably meet your monthly expenses to support your desired lifestyle that brings you satisfaction today. Being rich is like a snapshot in time. You are wealthy if you can comfortably and reliably meet your monthly expenses to support your desired lifestyle, even if your earned income ended today. You measure your level of wealth by the duration of time you could go without earned income. Being wealthy is like a movie, stringing together months of being rich. Most physicians earn their way to being rich, then invest their way to being wealthy. Being rich has two components: feeling rich and acting rich. Acting rich means your money math balances. You trust that you can comfortably afford your monthly spending. Your bills get paid. Feeling rich is the experience that your spending aligns with your values and your priorities. You have enough. So being rich has an objective and a subjective element. The money math works. You spend within your means. However, there's a subjective element of your personal satisfaction. You're satisfied with your lifestyle level. You pass the Goldilocks test. You don't have too much or too little. It's just right. Some people say, I'll feel rich when I make enough money. That's like saying, I'll smile when I feel happy. You can smile whether or not you're happy. And often you can become happy through the act of smiling. People who feel rich tell themselves the story that they have enough. They experience the world as a place of abundance. They tend to compare themselves favorably to others who have less. People who feel poor, the opposite of feeling rich, tell themselves the world is a place of scarcity. They tend to compare themselves unfavorably to others who have more. They might have anxiety about how they'll pay their monthly bills. So you can feel rich or poor no matter how much income you generate. Feeling rich is an inside job. It's about perspective and attitude. Unlike feeling rich, looking rich leaves physical evidence for others to observe. For some, looking rich means living in huge houses, making luxury purchases, or belonging to elite clubs. For others, it means making large and sometimes public donations. Because doctors earn generous incomes, they can afford to spend more. The more you spend, the richer you appear to others. People around you can see the car you drive, the square footage of your house, the school your kids attend. You can look rich, even if you're living a financial lie like John did. Being rich is different than looking rich. It means making conscious spending choices. You can say to yourself, these are the guidelines that help me make purchasing choices in the moment. This isn't about punitive budgets. It's about your ability to truly enjoy the things that money can buy. Being rich combines both elements, feeling rich and acting rich. You feel rich by celebrating what you have and deciding you are satisfied with your lifestyle. You pass your Goldilocks test. You don't spend too much or too little for your current level of income. It's just right. People who feel rich compare down instead of comparing up. They practice gratitude. They notice abundance. They give to others. Travel often recalibrates this instantly. You act rich by spending within a designated plan. The unhappy doctor held hostage by recurrent thoughts such that if I only made more money, I could buy that thing and then I'd be happy, is not rich, no matter how much they make. Likewise, the doctor making 7 figures who's losing sleep wondering how to make payments on his leased Mercedes is not rich. People who surround themselves with luxury items might look rich. However, if they cannot afford those purchases, they're living the myth of the rich doctor. The goal of a life of true wealth is to enjoy all the things and experiences money can buy while being deeply rooted in your own values and priorities without caring what other people think. Some lifestyle spending is visible to others. The car you drive, the school your kids attend, your vacation destination. Other spending is invisible. Charitable giving, real estate holdings, financial support for aging parents. We all know we should be living within our means. And we all know intellectually that we balance today's lifestyle spending with tomorrow's lifestyle spending. You know that the sooner you put your money to work making money, the faster you achieve financial balance. But this understanding doesn't automatically translate into behavioral change. So we're all living with the constant tension between a rich life today and a wealthy life tomorrow. So let's explore some of the barriers we all face to being rich. First, we live in a culture of consumerism. Increasingly sophisticated algorithms tell us, buy this to feel happy or worthy or value or respected. Psychologist Daniel Gilbert, author of Stumbling Unhappiness, says, money is an opportunity that people routinely squander because the things that they think will make them happy often don't. I am not suggesting that you want to be on a punitive diet. What I am suggesting is that your goal is to spend in ways that actually support your happiness. Now, doctors are uniquely vulnerable to comparison. We align with the standard of care. We follow evidence-based guidelines. We avoid being outliers because in medicine, fitting in keeps patients safe. So it's logical that this conditioning spills over into life outside of the hospital. Without realizing it, doctors start noticing. Without realizing it, doctors start noticing what success looks like in their peer group. This isn't vanity, it's pattern recognition. The problem isn't noticing. The problem is when belonging starts driving spending. Looking Rich isn't driven by math, it's driven by emotion, often below conscious awareness. Common drivers include jealousy or anger or feeling unseen or feeling diminished or even boredom. We think, if I buy that, I'll finally feel confident or respected or like I'm enough. At the center of the Looking Rich Vortex is the arrival fantasy. You think, well, I'll finally be happy when I have this. I'll finally be successful when these are my circumstances. My parents will finally be proud of me when I've accomplished this. But happiness and self-worth are created by thoughts, not by purchases. That's why so many people upgrade and still feel empty. I remember speaking with a doctor who just purchased a luxury vehicle. He thought, well, when I'm finally driving this car, I'm going to feel like I made it. And he bought the car and he was absolutely delighted. But within a couple of weeks, that excitement faded. Then he thought, well, maybe I bought the wrong color car. So he went and traded his car in. And before long, he was unhappy because something was missing. Well, as you might imagine, he was expecting the purchase of this car to fill something in him that was missing. And no car purchase was going to create that. Here are 10 ways to avoid or escape the Looking Rich Vortex. First, explore your values. This gives you guidelines about which spending you say yes to and which you say no to. Second, explore your spending satisfaction. You can go through an exercise to calculate your return on spending. It's kind of like your return on investment. So what kinds of spending deliver high levels of satisfaction? With that information, you're in a better position to adjust your lifestyle spending to enjoy higher levels of satisfaction. In the show notes, you'll find a link to download your return on spending worksheet. Third, take the Goldilocks test. What's too much, what's too little, and what's just right? What changes can you make to get to just right spending? Sometimes it's radical downsizing, like selling the huge home that you've raised 6 kids in. Sometimes it's deciding that you'll find ways to increase your earned income to purchase the things that you really want. Sometimes it's a matter of consciously shifting your thoughts and beliefs about what you have. Here's the introduction of the book Enough by John Bogle, who's the founder of the Vanguard Fund. At a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island, Kirk Vonnegut informs his pal Joseph Heller that their host, a hedge fund manager, had made more money in a single day than Heller had earned from his wildly popular novel, Catch-22, over its entire history. Heller responds, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough." The Goldilocks test will help you calibrate your idea of what's enough. Number 4, avoid budgets and embrace the idea of conscious spending. When we talk about being rich, we don't want to create deprivation or restriction. The whole point is to enjoy your spending without guilt or shame or worries that you're derailing your dreams. Number 5, observe spending choices with curiosity rather than judgment or criticism. Observe spending choices with curiosity rather than judgment or criticism. There are reasons that you do the things that you do. For example, my unmanaged brain uses spending as a stress management tool. I'm a big gardener, and my son refers to nurseries as my crack houses. I can go into a nursery and buy an entire cart full of plants. Why do I do it? It's because it works. Spending really does bring down my level of stress in the moment. However, it doesn't support my long-term goals. So if I want to cut back on stress spending, I need to learn to deal with anxiety and stress in a different way. And I can learn how to do that. If you have arguments with your partner about spending, extend the same compassion with your partner. There's a reason that your partner does the things that they do. Once you understand why, you can brainstorm and find different ways to achieve the same goal that spending does. Number 6, express gratitude. Compare down rather than compare up. Number 7, explore your spending habits. Much of our behavior is driven by habit, and not all of them are healthy habits. You might observe certain triggers for unhealthy spending that you want to avoid. This is a time to just get back to your why, your bigger vision about your life of true wealth. And then just ask yourself, what inspired me to spend in this way? You can set up an environment that supports healthier spending, and we talk about that in the TrueWealth Way transformation. Embrace the purchase pause plan. Make decisions ahead of time about what you'll do before you make purchases. Maybe if the purchase is over $1,000, you sleep on it or talk with your partner before making the purchase. This lowers the propensity to make impulse choices. Adopt the none of my business rule. We can fall into the trap of using spending really as a mechanism of reputation management. We care about what other people think about us, and we try to control that. This can be a very expensive exercise. Think about what other people say about you as reverse gossip. As Wayne Dyer says, what other people think of you is none of your business. In a life of true wealth, you stick to your knitting. What you think about yourself is what's most important. This is easier said than done, which is why we talk about this specific skill set in the TrueWealth Way transformation. Next, understand that what it means to be rich can vary at different stages of your life. On an ongoing basis, assess whether your spending is aligning with your values. So let's go back up to 50,000 feet. Being rich, enjoying the things that money can buy, is an element of a life of true wealth. However, the thing that can get in your way is the vortex of looking rich. It's sort of like a mask that you put over yourself so that other people will see you in a way that you want to be seen. Instead of looking rich, we are shooting for feeling rich, being satisfied with your level of consumption, and acting rich, which is spending aligned with your level of income. True wealth is built by making money choices from clarity instead of pressure. Next, we'll talk about building a wealthy life. If you like this video, there's more. Go here to learn more about the True Wealth Way. I'll see you on the other side.